So we talked about what the agent is. Now let's show some examples of it actually in action. So this is a capability. The first capability of an agentic CDP is an adaptive and organic user experience that the agent actually builds on its own. So before we get into that, let's look at what the current user experience looks like with a lot of apps. We're sending a very consistent number of pushes per day. They come around the same time per day. The message is very similar with some changes. I use Blinkist. Oh, there it is. I use Blinkist up here, but they are just one example. This is very, very common. As another example, this is from Monopoly Go. You can see that they have 7 messages. So if you're not an active player, you will get one of these messages per day, and every 7 days it cycles. You start right back at the top, and the loop continues week after week. So we have to ask, why do user experiences like this exist with our, our fixed, rigid rules? And one reason is because the tools that we use to build them force us into that. They are rigid tools. They are flowcharts. Flowcharts create these rules. They're not adaptive. They're not organic. An agent would never create a user experience like that. Here's what they do instead. So this is a map of a single user on their journey with an app. The gray humps indicate activity, so someone is on the app. The dots at the top, the orange and red and brown, are things that we're particularly interested in, so like a purchase, an add to cart, something like that. The blue dots at the bottom are the messages. Again, this is totally driven by an agent. There's not a human in the loop in this part of the process. So what you'll notice is there's some initial activity and we send some messages. The user doesn't respond. So we slow down our cadence. We don't want the user to churn. We're not going to send them a message every single day. We're adapting to their level of response, but we're not giving up. You notice the agent sends a message and we get a response. And then as the user starts to adapt and starts to respond, we'll start sending more messages to encourage that higher level of engagement. So you notice this user would have been churned. This is 6 weeks of time between activity, but we brought them back. Can you imagine if we would have messaged them every single day? Now compare that with this user over the same time frame. They got a lot of messages, but they're very active. The messages are adding to their experience, and they're reacting to them. This is truly adaptive. This is one other quick example I wanted to show. This is from an e-commerce app. If you notice the middle bump in the middle there, there's some activity. They viewed some items. Our agent sent that cluster of 3 messages. One of those messages was a 35% discount. Well, what happened is you'll notice that they didn't convert. Okay, we sent another message later, gave them a rest, came back. They actually added something to their cart. That's that red dot. Our agent responded by sending a 15% discount, and they actually converted. The agent learned, I don't need to give away as much of my margin. They're higher intent at this point, so I can send a smaller discount. So when we switch people over into the agentic user journeys, what we notice is, yes, a lift in conversions. But what's almost more significant is this massive drop in messages sent for all the reasons I just showed you. This helps retention, and for this customer, this was SMS messages, so this is big money. This is hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings as well.